I have an addiction, guys, and I've got it bad. I'm addicted to buying cameras. Specifically cameras I think that will work really well as daily vlogging cameras for my second channel. And this one could be the best one of the year, the best one that I've seen in a very long time. Hopefully. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Panasonic DMC LX10. So let's get started. The LX10 is Panasonic's update to their previous version, the LX7. But just taking a look at some of the specs on here, you can see it does 4K. It has a 1-inch MOS sensor, a 20 megapixel sensor, a Leica lens that's f1.4 to f2.8 over the range, and the range is equivalent to about 24 to 72 in terms of 35mm lenses. 24 being wide enough that when you're holding it at arm's length, it's wide enough to get you and most of your upper torso in the frame, which is awesome in my opinion. But the things that make this camera amazing in my opinion: 1, that f1.4 aperture at the widest. 2, it actually has a flip-up 180-degree tiltable screen that's a touch panel with over 1 million dots. 3, of course, it does 4K video, not that I'll probably be using it. And 4, if you can tell from the size of the box, this is a very small camera. This is about the size of the Sony RX100. So let's go ahead and open it up, see what's in the box, so I can start using it. First up, all your paperwork, all your documentation, quick guide for 4K photos, an owner's manual, as well as registration, and more instructions in Spanish. You have a micro USB cable, which can be used for charging. Big fan of that. A USB wall wart, Panasonic branded, but it's just a simple output 5 volt at 1 amp. Little strap, could be handy if you're carrying this around all day, every day, like I'm planning to. And the battery, which I was actually curious about. I didn't know which one it was going to come with. So this is the DMW BLH7PP. One of the things I actually kind of hate about Panasonic cameras is that every single camera has its own unique battery, for the most part. And then presumably, last but certainly not least, is the camera. So you can of course see some of their little key points here. It has a Leica lens. It is a fast f1.4 lens at the widest. Keep in mind it is only f1.4 at the widest. So as soon as you start moving forward, you hit like 32mm, it's gonna hit f2.8. And then the rest of the range is all f2.8, which still pretty good. It also has this little 4K tag on the top in case you forgot that it does do 4K video. Here on the front, of course, you get all the information about the lens and the Leica and everything, as well as having a rotatable aperture ring, which is very, very nice to see. And also a rotating presumable focus ring, but it could probably also be used for setting zoom range and whatnot. Moving over to this side, you can see we've got a little flap. Underneath that, you've got your micro USB as well as micro HDMI. And as a reminder there, it does say USB can be used for charging. Very nice. Definitely puts it on more even footing with the RX100 because since generation 1, the RX100's had that. Nothing on this other side of the camera. On the bottom, you've got the tripod mount as well as the battery door, which also is where the SD card's gonna go. We'll go ahead and just stick the battery in there while we're in here. And an SD card I happen to have on hand because why not? And it just latches back with that little click there. On the top, you can see the pop-up flash, just kind of open like that. Just put it back down when you're done. Rotating dial mode, PASM, movie mode, custom mode, intelligent auto, scene modes, and panorama, all kinds of settings there. Here's your zoom as well as your shutter button and your video record button, super important in my opinion. And then another rotating wheel that is not labeled. Presumably this can be customized. And last but certainly not least, the back. You've got 1, 2, 3 function buttons. This third function button is also labeled as the trash button, and the Q menu and the back button. Play button here with the status LED next to it. Display button, your sort of standard set of buttons here around the menu. So you've got exposure compensation, manual focus / macro, white balance, and drive mode. So we can do continuous shooting or timer. And then, very important to me, that 3-inch touch 1 million dot LCD that flips up. Super, super nice. And I think without any further ado, let's go ahead and turn this on by clicking this here on the top. See the lens extends. That's about as far as it extends by default. And it immediately tells me to set the language. Set it to English. We'll set the clock. And now that that's all set, you can see the zoom range here. If I go ahead and zoom in, the lens extends a little bit, not a huge amount, but there you go. Now, unfortunately, the battery did come with not very much charge in it, so I'm going to have to charge it before we go much farther. But you can see there's kind of a wide variety of things there on the screen to do. You're set to P mode by default, but you can always change that on the top. So I can switch it here to A for aperture mode, S for shutter, M for full manual control. Then over to movie mode, where it defaults to that same P program mode, but you've also got A, S, and M. C1 mode, panning for panorama there. All kinds of different scenes, so clear portraits. You can read all of these as I go through them, but yeah, presumably you could use these for whatever situation you happen to put yourself in. I don't foresee myself using any of them. And then some artsy filters, so if you wanted expressive things, retro style, Old days. You can sort of see these as I go through them. And these might put a little bit more of a toll on the performance of the camera. So keep in mind when you're doing that, you may end up wanting to do it after the fact instead, but this is a new powerful camera, so it should be okay. Anyway, there's loads and loads of them there you could see. And then Intelligent Auto Plus, that's the full auto mode. That's the one you'll use if you don't want to bother with setting things, which is where I'm going to start out. And actually stepping into the menus here, you can see we have the option for Intelligent Auto Plus or just Intelligent Auto. I'm going to say I don't know 100% of the differences there, but Intelligent Auto, all necessary settings are done. Intelligent Auto is the exact same thing, but with color and brightness adjustment as well. So there you go. If you're into photography, of course, the photo menu here, you've got aspect ratio, picture size, so you can go as high as 20 megapixels or as low as 5 if you want to save space. Quality, you can do high quality, low quality, or raw with either of those, or just raw, which is very nice to see in a pocketable camera. Autofocus mode, you've got a bunch of different options here, but in the full auto mode, you're only going to get the 2, face or tracking. And I'm not going to go through all the menus here, it's wasting time. Moving on to video, you've got record format, MP4 or AVC HD. I'm going to leave it on MP4 for now. Record quality, you can set it 1080p 60 is the default, but you can set it all the way up to 4K, 100 megabit per second, 30 frames a second, and as low as just HD 1280 by 720 at 30 frames a second, 10 megabits per second. I'm gonna leave it on 1080p 60. If you'd like to see a 4K clip, definitely ask and I will do it. And here in the next section of the menu, you can actually set continuous autofocus on or off. We'll see if it makes a noise. The biggest thing with my LX100 is continuous autofocus is continually hunting and continually making a clicking noise. You also have a stabilizer built in, so horizontal and vertical, shake from up and down movements, and just turning it off if you don't want it. And wind noise cancellation, standard, high, or off. Loads of other options here. I'm not going to go through all of them because it's time to just go ahead and get to some of the samples. So in terms of this studio lighting setup that I'm in, here's a selfie. And then here's a quick video sample. And here we go. We are in my office. We're in my studio lighting setup. Things on the screen look pretty good. It's very easy to see myself and to get myself framed up appropriately. You'll have to let me know what you think of the look and the sound and everything. Is there clicking? Is there background noise or anything? And there you go. And just very briefly testing there, I didn't notice any background noise. I didn't notice the autofocus clicking, so hopefully we've got a winner on our hands here. But just for the sake of comparison, I'm gonna move over to the program mode. Alrighty, we are now in program mode in movie mode. So this is what that looks like. It looks very much the same to me at first glance. It should autofocus pretty well, so if I put something up close to the camera, there we go, it focused on it. And then back to me. Focuses decently fast, and I didn't push a button or anything, it just autofocused. Just waiting to see if there's any autofocusing noise in the background, some continuous anything. Let me know. And to go ahead and wrap this up because I've been going on for entirely too long, I'm primarily going to be using this as a video camera, so that's the angle I'm going to be focusing on it from. I'm actually going to be using this all day today as my primary camera for my second channel video, and I'll pull out some extra clips to include right here, showing off different scenes throughout outdoor and night and whatnot. So here you go. So here's a quick example of about how dark it's going to get at the worst. This is, you know, it's early in the morning. All the lights in this room are off except for the ones at the far end of the room. It's pretty dim in here, but it looks like it's compensating pretty nicely. I don't see grain, at least not much grain. Not bad. And time for a quick outdoor video sample. There's actually a decent amount of wind blowing, as you can see the trees moving over here, sort of walking around a little bit, getting a little bit of a sample of what the wind cancellation can do. And again, for the sake of testing, I'm doing the exact same test, but I turned the wind canceling from standard up to high. And this is about the same amount of wind that was happening just a moment ago. Come back over here again. So, same amount of wind. Just see how much this cancels as opposed to the last clip. And that didn't actually seem to make a huge difference. The wind was still audible in both instances. Oh, by the way, face view in shade outdoors, as well as just a moment ago you saw in brighter lighting outdoors. It seems to be doing a really good job with the different lighting scenarios, not overexposing too much. Unfortunately, this does not have a built-in ND filter, so it's not going to be able to get the absolute best quality, the f1.4 outdoors, like you might like. But if you'd like to see the full video using this from today, my daily vlog using this, head on over to my second channel. I'll have a link to the video about this camera down in the description. I'll put a link to where you can find this. It's about $700 over on B&H, and I think Amazon and a couple of other sites have it. It is finally in stock. I've been waiting for months for this to come out, so I'll put links to where you can find it down below. But thank you guys as always for watching. Let me know what else you'd like to see shown about this. Subscribe to the channel to get notified anytime I put out a new video, and I will see you again next time.